And I want to ask you, is he exposing a loophole in the American experiment and the Constitution in that this isn't happenstance? He's not improvising. He has teams of lawyers and historians who comb through our nation's archives, and they say, hey, here's something. The Alien Enemies Act of 18 POW, you could use that. Here's something they used in 1972 that allows the president full. So they're picking and choosing emergency acts that didn't have sunset clauses, that Congress hasn't unlegislated, and they're using them, and there's really no oversight. Has he found some sort of crack in the system that is allowing all this without any kind of repercussion?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is the thing, is that he's predicating all this on emergency declarations, right?
Right.
And he wants to create the emergency where none exist. And I think we just need to step back. And this is where I think the historical comparisons are useful. Because if we think about how other presidents, where these laws were still on the books, they could have used them too. They could have invoked emergencies all the time, did not do that, right? George W. Bush, not a huge fan of his presidency. I'm sorry, John. But over 8 years, he issued 14 emergency declarations. And some stuff happened on George W. Bush's watch, right? 9/11.
I believe I remember that. Yeah.
I think you reported Katrina, the financial meltdown, right? There were a lot of reasons then which you could plausibly say there are emergencies here, right? He only did 14 in 8 years. In less than 6 months, Donald Trump has done 8. And a lot of them are clearly not emergencies.
Manufactured.
An energy emergency,
Southern border emergency,
border emergency, the economic emergency. The economy was doing fine. Trade deficits, they're not anything new. We've had them for decades, right? So these are, by any reasonable definition of what an emergency is, they don't fit the bill.
But even though, Kevin, think about, even with your example of Bush. So he got the authorization of force declaration, right? Mm-hmm. He got that through Congress, and that was a congressional act. But then we have since then used that authorization to bomb numerous countries with no declarations of war. What used to be the executive order was a way to kind of short circuit the system. That apparently is not good enough. Now it's the declaration of an emergency. Jill, are there metrics for which one would decide?
Yeah, there are. And I will say, I disagree with Kevin a little bit on this point. And I do think you're right, John, that there's the sort of escalation is from the executive order to the declaration of emergency. And that's an important distinction. And we can measure that. You know, it was FDR, of course, in 1933 who coined the expression 100 days to talk about the beginning of his administration, which was indeed an emergency. And he declared an emergency, the bank emergency, and closed the banks for a number of days. And then he proceeded to issue 99 executive orders in his first 100 days. But during those 100 days, Congress passed nearly 80 laws. So Congress was still functioning. And the bank emergency was one thing. And, you know, that was a temporary thing. That Trump declared 8 national emergencies in his first 100 days and 143 executive orders breaks all those records. But in those 100 days, how many laws did Congress pass? 5. And one of them did basically nothing. It just made the government not explode, like self-destruct.